What if the only thing standing between you and your greatest potential is a weaker version of yourself? A version that whispers excuses, craves comfort, and keeps you stuck in the same old cycle. Welcome to ZenLight 8, where today we're diving into the Stoic principles that will help you destroy that weak self once and for all. Get ready to forge unbreakable discipline, conquer your fears, and unleash the powerful, unstoppable you that's been waiting to break free. Let's start this transformation right now. Are you in? Face the shadow within and ignite your true strength. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a vast arena, the air thick with anticipation, the crowd roaring in the distance. But this isn't a fight against some external foe. It's a showdown with the one opponent who knows your every weakness, every doubt, every hesitation. That opponent, it's you. Or rather, it's the shadow version of you. The one that clings to comfort, whispers excuses, and convinces you to put off your dreams for someday. This weak version of yourself isn't loud or aggressive. It's sly, seductive, always promising an easier path. But here's the truth, my friend. Every time you listen to that voice, you're handing over your power, your potential, your future. Today, on this very battlefield of your mind, it's time to face that shadow head-on and burn it to the ground. Let's get real for a moment. Think about the last time you told yourself you'd start tomorrow. Maybe it was a new workout routine, a side hustle, or even just tackling that pile of laundry that's been mocking you for weeks. You meant it, didn't you? But then tomorrow came, and that weak version crept in, saying, "It's too hard," or "You're too tired," or "What's one more day?" Before you knew it, days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and you're still standing in the same spot, wondering why nothing's changed. That's the shadow's game. It thrives on delay, feeding off your hesitation like a parasite. But here's what it doesn't want you to know. You're not chained to it. You're not doomed to repeat the same cycle. You have the power to rewrite the story starting right now. The Stoics, those ancient warriors of the mind, understood this battle better than anyone. Seneca once said, "You are a slave to whatever you cannot quit." Think about that. Every time you let procrastination win, every time you choose the couch over the grind, you're giving control to that weaker self. But the Stoics didn't just point out the problem, they gave us a way out. They taught us to act in defiance of fear, to move forward even when the path feels uncertain. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, sitting alone at night, reminding himself to rise above his doubts, to choose action over excuses. If a man with the weight of an empire could confront his inner shadow, what's stopping you? Now, let's make this personal. Grab a notebook or just close your eyes and picture it. What does your weak version look like? Is it slumped in a chair, scrolling endlessly on a phone, muttering later like a broken record? Give it a face, a posture, a voice. Name its tricks. The way it lures you with Netflix binges or convinces you that you're not ready to chase your dreams. By seeing it clearly, you strip away its power. You're not fighting a ghost anymore. You're facing a foe you can defeat. And here's the beautiful part. Every time you choose to act, whether it's getting up early, tackling a tough task, or saying no to distraction, you're not just winning a battle. You're forging a new you one decision at a time. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about realizing that the only thing keeping you from your potential is the choice to let that shadow call the shots. So, today, right now, make a pact with yourself. No more excuses, no more waiting for the perfect moment. Step into the arena, look that weak version in the eye, and declare, "You don't own me anymore." Because, my friend, the moment you take that first step, you'll feel something shift. A spark of strength, a glimpse of who you're meant to be. And yet, defeating this shadow isn't just about action. It's about understanding what fuels it. Let's dive deeper into why that weak version loves to keep you comfortable and how breaking free from that trap can set you on a path to greatness. Comfort is your silent saboteur. Let's take a moment to imagine you're a ship built for the wildest seas, designed to conquer storms and chase horizons. Your sails are strong, your hull unbreakable. Yet here you are, docked in a quiet harbor, surrounded by calm waters and gentle breezes. Feels nice, doesn't it? Safe, easy. No waves to battle, no winds to fight. But day after day, that harbor starts to feel less like a haven and more like a prison. Your wood creaks, your sails sag, and deep down, you know you weren't made for this stillness. You were built to sail, to face the unknown, to grow stronger with every tempest. That harbor, my friend, is comfort, and it's not your friend. It's your silent saboteur, lulling you into a life that's smaller than you deserve. Comfort is sneaky. It doesn't announce itself as the enemy. It wraps you in warm blankets, hands you a steaming cup of coffee, and says, "Stay here. Why struggle? You've earned this." But every time you listen, you're trading a piece of your potential for a fleeting moment of ease. Think about the last time you chose the easy path. Maybe you skipped the gym because it was cold outside, or you put off that big project because Netflix was calling your name. In that moment, it felt good, didn't it? Like a little reward for surviving another day. But here's the kicker, those moments add up. They pile up like sandbags, weighing you down until you forget what it feels like to move freely, to chase what sets your soul on fire. The Stoics saw through this trap centuries ago. Seneca, that sharp-minded philosopher, didn't mince words. There is no person so severely punished as those who subject themselves to the whip of their own comfort. He knew that comfort dulls your edge, softens your resolve, and tricks you into believing you're living when you're just existing. Imagine a lion, born to roam the savannah, hunt with precision, and rule with strength. Now picture that same lion in a zoo, fed every day, no need to run, no need to fight. Is it still a lion? Sure, in name, but its spirit, its fire, its instinct, those fade away. That's what comfort does to you. It tames the wildness inside, the part of you that's meant to grow, to struggle, to thrive. Let's bring this closer to home. Think about Sarah, a graphic designer with a dream to start her own studio. She's talented, brimming with ideas, but every evening, after a long day at her 9 to 5, she sinks into her couch, scrolls through social media, and tells herself she'll work on her portfolio tomorrow. The couch is comfortable, the phone is distracting, and the idea of grinding late into the night feels overwhelming. Months pass, and her dream stays just that, a dream. Sarah's not lazy. She's caught in the grip of comfort, that insidious force that makes good enough feel like enough. But deep down, she feels the ache, the quiet nagging that says, "This isn't who you are." Now, here's where it gets exciting. You can break free. The Stoics didn't just warn us about comfort. They showed us how to fight it. They practiced voluntary discomfort, not because they were masochists, but because they knew it was the forge where strength is made. Seneca would fast or sleep on a hard floor, not to suffer, but to remind himself he could endure. You don't have to go that far, but you can start small. Skip the elevator and take the stairs, even when your legs groan. Turn off your phone for an hour and face the silence, even if it feels awkward. Cook a healthy meal instead of ordering takeout, even when you're tired. These aren't just tasks, they're declarations. You're telling comfort, "You don't own me." Science backs this up. Psychologists like Dr. Angela Duckworth, who studies grit, explain that stepping out of your comfort zone rewires your brain. It's like lifting weights for your mind. Each small act of discomfort builds resilience, making it easier to tackle bigger challenges. When you choose the harder path, you're not just building habits. You're building a new identity, one that doesn't flinch at effort. And here's the best part. It feels incredible. Not at first, maybe those early mornings or tough workouts sting, but soon you'll crave that sense of power, that proof you're more than your excuses. So, today, right now, ask yourself, what's one thing I've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable? Maybe it's having that tough conversation, starting that side hustle, or even just getting out of bed without hitting snooze. Whatever it is, don't let comfort win. Take that step, feel the resistance, and push through. Because every time you do, you're not just moving forward, you're reclaiming the person you were born to be, the one who doesn't settle for a harbor when there's an ocean waiting. But breaking free from comfort is only half the battle. To truly unleash your potential, you need to believe in the strength that's already inside you, waiting to be set free. You are already strong, now act like it. Close your eyes for a second and imagine standing in front of a mirror. The reflection staring back isn't just you. It's the you you've always dreamed of being. Confident, disciplined, fearless. This version doesn't second guess, doesn't shrink from challenges, doesn't wait for permission to shine. Now open your eyes and hear this. That person isn't a fantasy. They're not some distant goal you'll reach someday. They're already inside you, buried under layers of doubt and hesitation, waiting for you to let them out. You don't need to become strong, my friend. You are strong. You just need to start acting like it. This idea hits hard because we're so used to thinking strength is something we earn, like a badge you get after years of struggle. But the Stoics saw it differently. Epictetus, that no-nonsense philosopher, would look you in the eye and say, "Don't talk about what you want to be it." He wasn't interested in your plans or your fears. He cared about your actions. To him, strength wasn't a destination. It was a choice, one you make every single day. And here's the beautiful truth. You've been making that choice already, even if you don't see it yet. Every time you pushed through a tough day, every time you got back up after a setback, every time you kept going when you wanted to quit, that was strength. It's in your bones, your blood, your soul. The only thing holding you back is the story you tell yourself about who you are. Let's talk about Alex, a single dad working 2 jobs to keep his family afloat. He's not out there climbing mountains or giving TED Talks, but every morning at 5 a.m. he's up, making breakfast for his kids, packing their lunches, and heading to work with a smile, even when he's exhausted. Alex doesn't call himself a hero. He'd laugh at the idea, but that's exactly what he is. His strength isn't in grand gestures. It's in the quiet, consistent choices he makes to show up, no matter what. You're not so different from Alex. You've got that same fire inside. Even if it's been dimmed by years of, "I'm not enough," or "I'll never make it." The question isn't whether you're strong. It's whether you're ready to act like it. Here's where it gets practical. Your brain believes the story you feed it. If you keep saying, "I'm not disciplined," or "I'm too scared," that's the script it follows. But flip the script, and everything changes. Start telling yourself, "I am the person who gets things done," or "I am the one who faces fear head-on." It sounds simple, maybe even cheesy, but science agrees. Neuroscientists like Dr. Joe Dispenza explain that your brain can't tell the difference between what you imagine vividly and what's real. When you act as if you're strong, standing taller, speaking with confidence, tackling tasks without hesitation, your brain rewires itself to make that strength real. It's like putting on a superhero cape. At first, it feels awkward, but soon you start moving like you were born to fly. Now, let's make this tangible. Think about a moment in your life when you felt unstoppable. Maybe you aced a presentation, ran a race, or stood up for something you believed in. Hold that feeling. That's not a fluke. That's you, unfiltered, unshackled. Your job now is to bring that version of yourself into today. Say you're nervous about a big meeting at work. Instead of thinking, "I hope I don't mess this up," walk in like you own the room. Speak with clarity, listen with intention, act like the leader you know you can be. Or maybe you're trying to get healthier. Don't say, "I'll try to eat better." Act like someone who values their body. Shop for fresh ingredients, cook with care, move with purpose. These aren't just actions. They're votes for the person you're becoming. But here's the catch. Acting strong doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt. Even the Stoics had their moments of fear. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal about waking up tired, tempted to stay in bed, but he'd remind himself, "This is what I was made for." That's the secret. Strength isn't the absence of weakness. It's choosing to act despite it. Look at someone like Malala Yousafzai. At 15, she faced unimaginable fear, yet she spoke out for education, not because she felt invincible, but because she chose to act like someone who was. You don't need to change the world to tap into that power. You just need to change your next decision. So today, make a commitment. Stop waiting to feel ready. Act like the person you admire most. Someone who doesn't let fear call the shots, who doesn't need a perfect plan to start. Stand up straighter, speak with conviction, tackle that one thing you've been avoiding. Because every time you do, you're not just pretending, you're proving who you've been all along. You're not building strength. You're uncovering it, layer by layer. until the world sees what you've always known. You are unstoppable. And yet, acting strong is just the beginning. To make this transformation stick, you need to break the cycle of overthinking and take bold, decisive action, because that's where true change is born. Stop overthinking and start doing. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a diving board, the water shimmering below, cool and inviting. Your heart's racing, your palms are sweaty, and every fiber of your being wants to jump. But your mind's got other plans. It's spinning like a hamster on a wheel. What if the water's too cold? What if I belly flop? What if everyone's watching? So you stand there, frozen, analyzing every possible outcome until the moment passes, and you climb back down, muttering, maybe next time. That, my friend, is the paralyzing trap of overthinking, and it's stealing your life one hesitation at a time. The truth is, the leap isn't the hard part. It's the endless loop of thoughts that keeps you stuck on the board, when all you need to do is jump. Overthinking is like a fog that clouds your vision, turning simple decisions into insurmountable obstacles. Ever plan to start a new project, only to spend hours researching, making lists and tweaking your strategy, without ever actually starting? Or maybe you wanted to ask for a raise, but by the time you'd rehearsed every possible response in your head, the opportunity was gone. That's overthinking at work, and it's not just a quirk. It's a thief. It robs you of time, momentum, and the chance to discover what you're truly capable of. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius, that warrior emperor who carried the weight of Rome, wrote, "Do what nature requires of you. Don't get distracted by anything else." For him, action was the antidote to the mind's endless chatter. He didn't waste energy debating whether he was ready. He acted because that's what a strong mind does. Let's talk about Mia, a barista with a knack for writing. She's been dreaming of publishing a novel for years, filling notebooks with ideas, characters, and plot twists. Everyone who's read her snippets says she's got talent, but every time she sits down to write, her brain kicks into overdrive. What if it's not good enough? What if I get stuck? Should I take a writing course first? She spends hours reading blogs about how to write a bestseller, watching YouTube tutorials, and planning the perfect outline. But the pages of her novel stay blank. Mia's not lazy. She's trapped in the overthinking loop, where every step feels like it needs to be perfect before she can begin. Sound familiar? Maybe you're not writing a novel, but you've felt that same paralysis. Wanting to start a business, hit the gym, or even just clean out your garage, only to get lost in a maze of what-ifs. Here's the science behind it. Your brain loves to overthink because it's trying to protect you. Psychologists call it the analysis paralysis effect. When you dwell on a decision too long, your prefrontal cortex, the part that plans and analyzes, gets overwhelmed, triggering anxiety that makes action feel impossible. A study from the Journal of Behavioral Decision-Making found that people who overthink are less likely to act, even when they know what to do, because they fear making the wrong choice. But here's the flip side. Action breaks that cycle. When you move, even imperfectly, your brain shifts gears, focusing on progress instead of perfection. It's like jumping into that pool. Once you're in, the fear dissolves, and you wonder why you waited so long. So, how do you escape the trap? Let's borrow a trick from the Stoics and add a modern twist. The 3-second rule. When you catch yourself hesitating, whether it's to send an email, start a workout, or tackle a tough task, count down, 3, 2, 1, and go. No debating, no second-guessing, just action. Sounds simple, but it's powerful. Mel Robbins, who popularized this technique, explains that it interrupts your brain's tendency to overthink, giving you a split-second window to act before doubt creeps in. Try it today. Need to call a friend you've been meaning to reconnect with? 3, 2, 1, dial. Want to start that blog post? 3, 2, 1, open your laptop. It's not about being fearless. It's about being faster than your fears. But action isn't just about speed. It's about momentum. Think of it like rolling a boulder down a hill. The first push is the hardest, but once it's moving, it gains speed, unstoppable. That's what happens when you act consistently. Take James, a guy who wanted to get fit but hated gyms. Instead of overthinking the perfect workout plan, he started with 3, 2, 1, 10 push-ups every morning. No equipment, no excuses. Those 10 push-ups became 20, then a jog, then a full routine. A year later, he's running 5 Burmese chats and feels better than ever. Not because he had a flawless plan, but because he started messy and imperfect and kept going. Here's the deeper truth. Overthinking doesn't just delay your dreams. It dims your confidence. Every time you hesitate, you're telling yourself, I'm not ready, or I can't do this. But every time you act, you're proving the opposite. You're building a track record of courage, one small win at a time. So, today, pick one thing you've been overthinking, something you've put off because it feels too big or too scary. Count 3, 2, 1, and take the first step, no matter how small. Send that email, make that plan, take that leap. Because the life you want isn't waiting on the other side of a perfect decision. It's waiting on the other side of action. But action alone isn't enough to transform your life. To truly break free, you need to master the art of focusing on what you can control, letting go of the rest to unleash your inner strength. Master what you can control. Picture yourself driving down a busy highway, music blaring, the open road stretching ahead. Suddenly, traffic grinds to a halt, horns blaring, cars inching along, and your schedule's thrown out the window. You feel the frustration rising, your hands gripping the wheel, your mind racing with complaints. Why now? Why me? But here's the question. Can you make the cars move faster? Can you clear the road with a snap of your fingers? No, you're stuck, and no amount of cursing will change it. But there's one thing you can do. Decide how you respond. That, my friend, is the secret to unlocking your power, focusing on what you control and letting go of what you don't. It's a Stoic principle that's as old as time but as fresh as your next breath. And it's about to change the way you live. The Stoics were obsessed with this idea because they knew life is messy, unpredictable, and often unfair. Epictetus put it bluntly, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Think about that. The world can throw hurricanes, betrayals, or flat tires your way, but it can't touch your thoughts, your choices, your attitude, unless you let it. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about owning the one thing that's truly yours. When you waste energy stressing over what's out of your hands, like traffic, other people's opinions, or random bad luck, you're handing your power to the chaos. But when you focus on your response, you take it back, standing tall no matter what comes. Let's meet Rachel, a small-town teacher who learned this the hard way. A few years ago, her school faced budget cuts, and her favorite art program was on the chopping block. She could have spent her days complaining about the system, the administrators, the unfairness of it all. And trust me, she was tempted. But instead, she asked herself, what can I control? She couldn't save the program single-handedly, but she could fight for it. So, she organized fundraisers, rallied parents, and even taught free art classes after school. The program survived, not because the world bent to her will, but because she poured her energy into what she could influence. Her actions, her passion, her voice. Rachel's not a superhero. She's just someone who refused to let circumstances define her. This mindset is a game changer, but it's not always easy. Your brain loves to fixate on what's wrong. Psychologists call it the negativity bias. It's why you'll obsess over a rude comment from a coworker but barely notice the 10 people who complimented you. A study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that we spend up to 70% of our mental energy worrying about things we can't change, like past mistakes or future uncertainties. That's energy you could use to build, create, or grow. But instead, it's burned on a fire that never warms you. The Stoics knew this, which is why they trained themselves to pivot fast. Marcus Aurelius would pause in the chaos of ruling an empire and ask, what's in my control right now? Then he'd act, whether it was writing a law, calming a crowd, or simply staying calm himself. So, how do you apply this in your own life? Start with a simple exercise, the control test. When you're stressed, say, your boss snaps at you or your flight gets delayed. Pause and ask, what can I control here? Write it down if you need to. Maybe you can't change your boss's mood, but you can choose to respond with professionalism, maybe even a smile. You can't undelay the flight, but you can use the time to read, plan, or call someone you love. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about reclaiming your power to decide what happens next. Try it today. The next time something goes wrong, take 10 seconds to breathe and focus on your options. It's like finding a flashlight in a blackout. Suddenly, you see a way forward. But here's where it gets deeper. Mastering control isn't just about handling crises. It's about shaping your life. Think about your goals. Maybe you want to get healthier, advance your career, or mend a relationship. You can't control every outcome. Injuries happen, markets crash, people hold grudges. But you can control your effort, your consistency, your openness. Take David, a guy who wanted to run a marathon but kept getting sidelined by shin splints. He could have blamed his body and quit, but instead, he focused on what he could do. Physical therapy, cross-training, better shoes. A year later, he crossed the finish line. Not because he controlled fate, but because he controlled his choices. This mindset takes practice, especially in a world that loves to distract us with drama. Social media, news, even gossip. It's all designed to pull your focus outward, to make you feel helpless. But you're not helpless. You're a stoic in training, learning to tune out the noise and zero in on what matters. So today, make a choice. Stop wrestling with what you can't change. Let go of the traffic, the critics, the should-be beans. Instead, pour your energy into your thoughts, your actions, your next step. Because when you do, you're not just surviving. You're sculpting a life that's yours, unshaken by the storms. Yet, mastering control is only one piece of the puzzle. To fully break free from your old self, you need to let go of the habits and fears that keep you tethered to who you used to be. Burn the old you and rise anew. Imagine you're standing on a rocky shore, the ocean crashing before you, holding a tattered map in your hands. This map has guided you for years, through familiar paths, safe shortcuts, and dead-end roads you've traveled 1,000 times. It's comfortable, worn from use, but it's also why you're still here, circling the same spots, never reaching the places you dream of. That map, my friend, is the old you, the version built from habits that no longer serve you, fears that hold you back, and excuses that feel like truth but are really chains. To find your way forward, you don't need to tweak the map. You need to tear it up, burn it to ashes, and draw a new one, starting today. Because the life you want isn't waiting for the old you to catch up. It's calling for a new you to rise. The old you is a master of disguise. It's not some cartoon villain twirling a mustache. It's subtle, woven into your daily routines like a thread you barely notice. It's the way you hit snooze 5 times every morning, telling yourself, I'm not a morning person. It's the scroll through social media that turns 10 minutes into an hour, whispering, just a little longer. It's the fear of failure that keeps you from applying for that job, cloaked as, I'm not ready yet. These aren't just habits. They're the scaffolding of an identity that's keeping you small. The Stoics knew this trap well. Seneca warned, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Because he understood that clinging to an outdated self is like sailing with a broken compass. You'll never reach your destination. Let's meet Carlos, a guy who spent years stuck in a job he hated, managing a retail store that drained his soul. He dreamed of becoming a chef, but every day, the old Carlos took over. He'd come home exhausted, crash on the couch, and binge TV to unwind, telling himself, I'll look into cooking classes tomorrow. His fears chimed in, fear of starting over, fear of not being good enough, fear of leaving the security of a steady paycheck. That old version wasn't loud. It was comfortable, predictable, and oh so convincing. But one day, Carlos hit a breaking point. A customer's casual comment, you look miserable, man, cut deeper than he expected. He went home, stared at his reflection, and realized he wasn't just stuck in a job. He was stuck in a version of himself that didn't believe he could change. That's when Carlos did something radical. He decided to destroy the old map. He grabbed a notebook and wrote down everything that defined his old self. The late nights zoning out, the self-doubt that said he'd fail, the excuses about not having time. Then he got visual. He sketched a stick figure of that old Carlos. Slumped, tired, holding a remote like a lifeline. It wasn't pretty, but it was honest. And then he tore that page out, ripped it to pieces, and threw it in the trash. It wasn't just paper he was destroying. It was a commitment to leave that version behind. The next day, he signed up for a cooking class. It was terrifying, imperfect, and small, but it was the first stroke on a new map, one that pointed toward a life he actually wanted. This is where the Stoics shine, and it's where you can, too. They didn't just talk about change, they lived it. Epictetus taught that your identity isn't fixed. It's shaped by your choices. You're not someone who procrastinates unless you choose to keep procrastinating. You're not someone who's afraid unless you let fear make your decisions. So, let's make this real for you. Take a moment right now if you can, and picture your old self. What does it look like? Maybe it's glued to a phone, muttering, "I'll do it later." Maybe it's hiding behind, "I'm not good enough." Give it a shape, a voice, and make it ridiculous, because that's what it is, an obstacle pretending to be you. Now, destroy it. Write it down and tear it up, or visualize setting it on fire. This isn't just symbolic. It's a signal to your brain that you're done with that story. Science backs this up. Psychologists like Dr. Nathaniel Branden, who studied self-esteem, explain that breaking old patterns requires a deliberate shift in identity. When you reject the habits and fears that define your old self, you create space for a new narrative. It's like clearing out a cluttered attic. Once the junk's gone, you can fill it with what matters. So start small, but start now. If your old self avoids exercise, go for a 10-minute walk today, no excuses. If it's addicted to distraction, set a timer and work for 20 minutes without checking your phone. Each action is a brick in the foundation of a new you. Stronger, bolder, free. But here's the deeper magic. Burning the old you isn't about hating who you were. It's about honoring who you can become. Carlos didn't despise his retail days. They taught him resilience. But he refused to let them define his future. You're not erasing your past. You're choosing not to let it hold you hostage. So today, take that first step. Destroy one piece of the old map. A habit, a fear, an excuse, and replace it with a choice that feels like freedom. Because when you let go of who you were, you make room for who you're meant to be. And yet, breaking free is only the start. To truly become that person, you need to live it, not just dream it. Starting with a single powerful day. Live one day as your best self. Imagine waking up tomorrow to a different kind of morning. The alarm rings, and instead of groaning, you spring out of bed, your mind sharp, your heart buzzing with purpose. You move through your day with a quiet confidence. Every choice deliberate, every action aligned with the person you've always wanted to be. You're not rushing, not doubting, not distracted. You're present, disciplined, alive in a way that feels electric. This isn't a fantasy, my friend. It's a challenge. Live one day as your best self. Not next week, not when you're ready, but today. Because one day, lived fully, can show you who you're capable of becoming and spark a fire that changes everything. The Stoics were masters of this idea. They didn't chase vague, distant goals, they focused on the now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." He wasn't being morbid. He was reminding himself that every day is a fresh chance to be the person you admire. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need a new job, a new city, or a burst of motivation. You just need to act like your best self for one day. 24 hours of showing up as the hero of your own story. And trust me, it's more powerful than you think. Let's talk about Emily, a marketing assistant who felt stuck in a rut. She loved her job but hated how she was living it. Constantly frazzled, checking her phone every 5 minutes, saying yes to everyone but herself. One night, fed up with feeling like a background character in her own life, she decided to try something. For one day, she'd be the Emily she admired, the one who was focused, bold, and in control. She woke up early, no snooze. She dressed like she meant business, not just throwing on whatever was clean. At work, she turned off notifications, tackled her biggest project first, and spoke up in a meeting instead of nodding quietly. After work, she skipped her usual scroll fest and went for a run, not because she had to, but because she wanted to feel strong. That night, lying in bed, she felt different. Not perfect, but present. One day didn't change her life, but it showed her what her life could be. Here's why this works. Your brain is a pattern-making machine. Psychologists like Dr. B.J. Fogg, who studies behavior change, explain that small, intentional actions create tiny habits that snowball into bigger shifts. When you live one day as your best self, you're not just pretending, you're laying down a blueprint. It's like test driving a sports car. Once you feel the power, you don't want to go back to your old clunker. And the Stoics would agree. Epictetus said, "Don't wait to become better. Start acting like someone better." He knew that action shapes identity, not the other way around. You don't become confident by feeling confident. You become confident by acting like it. So how do you do this? Picture your best self. What do they do differently? Maybe they start the day with a clear plan instead of chaos. Maybe they listen more than they talk, or say no to distractions with ease. Now, for one day, be that person. If you usually slouch into work, walk in with purpose, shoulders back, eyes up. If you're always glued to your phone, put it away and engage with the world. Talk to a colleague, savor your coffee, notice the sky. If you tend to procrastinate, pick one task and crush it, no excuses. Don't overthink it, just act. And here's a pro tip. Narrate your day like it's a movie. Tell yourself, this is the scene where I take charge. Or, this is where I show up strong. It sounds silly, but it works. It keeps you focused like a director calling the shots. Let's make it real with an example. Say you're trying to get healthier but keep falling off the wagon. For one day, be the person who's already healthy. Skip the drive-thru and cook something fresh. Not because it's a rule, but because it's what your best self does. Move your body, even if it's a walk around the block, and feel the strength in your steps. Drink water, not soda, and notice how clear your mind feels. You're not trying to be healthy, you're living it just for today. Or maybe you're aiming for a promotion. For one day, be the leader you want to be. Speak with clarity. Tackle problems with confidence. Lift up your team. Don't wait for the title. Act like it's yours. The beauty of this challenge is that it's low stakes but high impact. One day won't fix everything, but it will crack open a door. You'll feel what it's like to move with intention, to make choices that align with your dreams. And here's the science. A study from Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that acting as if you're a certain way, like confident or disciplined, can shift your self-perception in as little as a single day. That's why Emily's one day wasn't a fluke. It was a spark. She didn't become perfect, but she started running 3 times a week, saying no to distractions and pitching ideas at work. One day became a habit, and that habit became her life. So today, take the challenge. Live one day as your best self. Full out, no holding back. Wake up like you mean it. Move like you're unstoppable. Choose like you're free. Because here's the truth. You don't need to wait for permission or a miracle. You already have everything you need to be that person. It's in the way you decide to show up. One day can be a turning point. A moment where you look back and say, that's when it all started. So, are you ready to make today that day? But living as your best self isn't enough if you leave room for weakness to creep back in. To make this transformation stick, you need to build a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. Leave no room for weakness. Picture a blacksmith at work, hammer in hand, sparks flying as he shapes molten steel into something unbreakable. Every strike is deliberate, every moment of heat and pressure calculated to forge a blade that won't bend, won't crack, no matter the force it faces. That's what discipline does for you, my friend. It's the fire and hammer that transform your raw potential into something unstoppable. Motivation, that's just a fleeting spark, gone as quickly as it comes. But discipline, it's the steady rhythm of the blacksmith's craft, building strength that endures. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself for good, you don't chase feelings. You forge commitments so ironclad they leave no room for weakness to sneak back in. Weakness is tricky. It doesn't always look like failure or laziness. Sometimes it's disguised as just this once. Skipping a workout because you're tired, scrolling through your phone instead of working on your goals, telling yourself you'll get serious tomorrow. Those moments feel harmless, but they're cracks in your armor. Tiny openings where doubt and hesitation creep through. The Stoics knew this, and they didn't mess around. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." And preparation isn't about waiting for inspiration. It's about showing up, day after day, no matter how you feel. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's relentless. It's choosing the hard right over the easy wrong, every single time. Let's talk about Jamal, a guy who wanted to start a podcast about mental health. He had the gear, the ideas, even a few episodes planned, but for months, nothing happened. He'd get fired up after watching a motivational video, record half an episode, then lose steam when life got busy. Work stress, family demands, a bad night's sleep. There was always a reason to pause. That's motivation's trap. It's a sugar rush, sweet but short-lived. One day, Jamal hit a wall. He realized his podcast wasn't failing because of time or talent. It was failing because he was leaving room for weakness. He was waiting to feel ready instead of building a system to be ready. So Jamal got serious. He made 3 non-negotiable commitments like a blacksmith setting rules for the forge. First time, he blocked off 1 hour every evening, 7 to 8 p.m. for his podcast, no excuses, no rescheduling, even if he was exhausted. Second, focus. He turned off his phone, closed his laptop's browser, and worked in a quiet corner of his apartment, treating that hour like a sacred ritual. Third, action. Every session, he had to produce something tangible. A script, a recording, an edit, no matter how small. It wasn't perfect. Some nights, he stumbled through a terrible take. Others, he barely wrote a paragraph. But he stuck to it, hammer striking steel day after day. 6 months later, his podcast launched with 10 episodes, and today it's got thousands of listeners. Not because he was always motivated, but because he made discipline his default. This is where you step in. Discipline sounds like a heavy word, but it's really just a promise to yourself. A promise you keep no matter what. Science backs this up. Psychologists like Dr. Roy Baumeister, who studies willpower, explain that discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But unlike motivation, which depends on your mood, discipline thrives on structure. A study from the Journal of Personality found that people who set clear, non-negotiable routines, like fixed work hours or daily exercise, are 80% more likely to achieve their goals than those who rely on bursts of enthusiasm. That's why Jamal's podcast succeeded. He didn't hope for progress. He built it. So, how do you forge your own discipline? Start with Jamal's blueprint, tailored to you. First, commit to time. Pick one goal, maybe writing, working out, or learning a skill, and carve out a specific slot for it every day. It could be 6 a.m. for 30 minutes or 9 p.m. for an hour. Treat it like a meeting with the most important person in your life. You. Second, commit to focus. Eliminate distractions. Put your phone in another room, use a timer, create a space where your goal is the only thing that matters. Third, commit to action. Every day, do something concrete, even if it's tiny. Write 1 sentence, do 5 push-ups, read 1 page. Small wins stack up, turning your hammer strikes into a masterpiece. But here's the deeper truth. Discipline isn't just about getting things done. It's about trusting yourself. Every time you keep your commitment, you're proving you're not the person who quits. You're forging a blade that cuts through doubt, a shield that blocks excuses. So, today, pick one area of your life where weakness sneaks in. Maybe it's procrastination, maybe it's giving in to distractions, and set one non-negotiable rule. Stick to it no matter how you feel and watch how it changes you. Because when you leave no room for weakness, you're not just building habits. You're building a life that's unbreakable. Yet, discipline alone can't thrive in a vacuum. To keep your fire burning, you need to surround yourself with people who fuel it, not douse it. Steer clear of those who hold you back. Imagine you're climbing a mountain, your eyes fixed on the peak, every step a testament to your grit. The air's thin, your legs ache, but you're moving upward, closer to the summit of your dreams. Now picture this. Some of the people roped to you aren't climbing, they're tugging you down. They're not evil, not out to sabotage you, but their doubts, their complaints, their why bother. Attitude is like extra weight on your pack. You could keep dragging them, hoping they'll change, but deep down, you know the truth. To reach the top, you need to cut the rope. Your environment, my friend, especially the people in it, shapes your journey more than you realize. If you want to soar, You've got to choose companions who lift you up, not hold you back. The Stoics understood this with crystal clarity. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by Rome's schemers and flatterers, wrote, "Avoid those who pollute your soul." He wasn't talking about physical dirt. He meant the toxic mindsets that seep into your thoughts when you're around people who don't share your fire. Negativity is contagious, and it's not always obvious. It's the friend who laughs off your goals, saying, "Why try so hard? Life's fine as it is." It's the coworker who gripes about everything, pulling you into their spiral of complaints. It's even the family member who means well but questions your every move, planting seeds of doubt. These aren't bad people, they're just not your people, not if you're aiming for greatness. Let's meet Lisa, a budding entrepreneur with a vision to launch a sustainable clothing brand. She was all in, sketching designs, researching fabrics, saving every penny. But her old friend group, they didn't get it. Every time she shared her progress, they'd roll their eyes or change the subject. "You're working too hard," they'd say, or "Isn't that risky? Just stick with your day job." At first, Lisa brushed it off. She'd known these friends since high school, and loyalty mattered. But over time, she noticed something. After hanging out with them, she'd feel deflated, questioning her dreams. Their doubts were like fog, clouding her clarity. It wasn't until she attended a local business meetup that she saw the difference. There, she met people who asked, "What's your next step?" Instead of, "Why bother?" They shared tips, cheered her wins, and challenged her to think bigger. Within months, Lisa's brand had a website, a logo, and her first sample collection. Not because her skills changed, but because her circle did. This isn't just a feel-good story, it's science. Neuroscientist Dr. Tara Swart points out that your brain is wired to mirror the people around you, a phenomenon called neural synchrony. Spend time with complainers, and your brain starts firing pessimistic patterns. Hang out with dreamers, and it lights up with possibility. A study from Social Forces found that your closest connections, friends, family, colleagues, predict your behavior more than your own intentions. If your inner circle thrives on excuses, you'll lean that way too, even if you don't mean to. But surround yourself with people who push, inspire, and hold you accountable. You'll rise to meet them faster than you thought possible. So, how do you choose your crew? Start by auditing your circle. Think of the 5 people you spend the most time with, your go-to friends, your work buddies, maybe even your partner. For each, ask, do they lift me up or pull me down? Are they growing or just coasting? Do they celebrate my wins or shrug them off? Be honest. No one's perfect, but if someone's energy consistently dims your spark, it's time to rethink their place in your life. This doesn't mean cutting ties dramatically. Sometimes it's about setting boundaries, like spending less time together or redirecting conversations away from negativity. At the same time, seek out your tribe. Join a class, a club, a community online or in person where people share your goals. If you want to get fit, find a running group. If you're starting a business, hit up networking events. You don't need 100 new friends. Just a few who get it, who see your potential and push you toward it. But here's the real talk. Choosing your circle isn't just about them. It's about you. Staying around people who hold you back is a choice. One that says, I'm okay settling. Letting go isn't easy. It's a loss, a grieving of what was. Lisa didn't ditch her old friends entirely, but she stopped leaning on them for support. She missed the late-night chats, but she gained something bigger, a life that felt like hers. You deserve that too. So today, take a step. Reach out to someone who inspires you. Send a message, ask to grab coffee, or set a boundary with someone who drains you. Politely decline that venting session. Because when you choose your environment, you're choosing your future. Yet, choosing who surrounds you is only part of the equation. To fully claim your power, you need to stop wasting the one resource you'll never get back, your time. Stop wasting time, your life depends on it. Imagine you're holding an hourglass. It's grains of sand slipping through your fingers, each one a moment of your life. You watch them fall, steady and silent, and you realize something chilling. You don't know how many are left. Could be thousands, could be a handful, but once they're gone forever. Time, my friend, is your most precious currency, the one thing you can't borrow, buy, or beg for. Yet how often do you spend it like it's infinite? Scrolling through endless feeds, stewing over petty arguments, or pushing your dreams to someday as if tomorrow's guaranteed. If you want to unleash your true potential, you've got to stop wasting time, because every second you squander is a piece of your life you'll never get back. Time's a funny thing. It feels abundant when you're young, like an endless summer stretching out before you. But then you blink, and years have passed, and you're left wondering where it all went. The Stoics were obsessed with this. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire, still took time to remind himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say. He wasn't being dramatic, he was grounding himself in reality. Life is short, unpredictable, and doesn't owe you a single extra day. That's not a reason to despair. It's a call to act, to make every moment count, not by chasing fleeting pleasures, but by investing in what matters. Your growth, your relationships, your purpose. Let's meet Tara, a paralegal who always wanted to go back to school and become a lawyer. She'd talk about it at family dinners, jot down plans in her journal, and promise herself, next year, I'll apply. But next year came and went. Evenings were spent binge-watching shows to relax. Weekends lost to errands and social media rabbit holes. Tara wasn't lazy. She was busy, caught in the trap of thinking she had time to spare. Then, at a high school reunion, she saw a friend who'd chased her own dream of opening a bakery. That friend wasn't smarter or luck bullet operator than Tara. She just acted years ago, while Tara was still planning. That night, Tara went home and did the math. She'd spent thousands of hours on things that didn't move her forward. The realization hit like a punch. Time wasn't waiting for her to be ready. That's the wake-up call we all need. Think about your own life. How many hours have you given to distractions? Checking likes, watching drama unfold online, or worrying about things that never happen? A study from Nielsen found that the average American spends over 4 hours a day on their phone, much of it on autopilot. That's 1,500 hours a year. Enough to learn a language, start a business, or transform your health. Now, don't get me wrong, rest and fun matter, but there's a difference between recharging and wasting. The question isn't, do I have time? It's, what am I doing with the time I have? Because every choice to scroll, to delay, to drift is a choice to let your dreams slip through that hourglass. The Stoics had a trick for this, and it's one you can use today. Memento mori, or remember you will die. Sounds heavy, but it's liberating. Steve Jobs leaned into this when he said he'd ask himself every morning, if today were my last day, would I do what I'm about to do? If the answer was no too often, he'd change course. You don't need to be a tech genius to try it. Tonight, before bed, ask yourself, did I use my time today for something that mattered? Maybe it's a conversation that deepened a bond, a workout that made you stronger, or a step toward a goal that lights you up. If the answer's no, don't beat yourself up. Just decide to make tomorrow different. Pick one thing that moves you forward and do it first, before the world pulls you away. Science supports this shift. Psychologists like Dr. Laura Carstensen, who studies time perception, explain that when you focus on life's finite nature, your priorities snap into focus. You stop sweating the small stuff, office gossip, a bad haircut, and start chasing what lasts. For Tara, that meant enrolling in an LSAT prep course the week after her reunion. She didn't quit her job or upend her life. She just stopped wasting evenings. She studied an hour a night, swapped scrolling for reading, and applied to law school a year later. Today, she's halfway through her degree, not because time magically appeared, but because she chose to invest it wisely. So here's your challenge. Reclaim your time, starting now. Pick one distraction that's eating your hours. Maybe it's doom scrolling or saying yes to things you don't care about, and cut it back even by 30 minutes a day. Use that time for something real. Write a page, take a walk, call someone who matters. And when you're tempted to procrastinate, picture that hourglass, grains falling, each one a chance to be the person you're meant to be. Because time isn't just ticking. It's your life, and it's begging you to live it fully. But stopping the waste of time is only part of the battle. To keep growing, You need to understand that this fight against your weaker self isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a lifelong commitment. The war never ends. Picture a warrior standing on a battlefield, sword in hand, sweat dripping down their brow. The ground is littered with the remnants of a hard-fought victory. Broken shields, shattered doubts, conquered fears. For a moment, it feels like the fight is over, like they can finally rest. But as the sun rises, the horizon shifts, and new challenges emerge. Different, but just as real. That's the truth of your journey, my friend. The war against your weaker self isn't a single battle won and done. It's a lifelong campaign, fought every day, not with swords but with choices, discipline, and an unrelenting commitment to who you're becoming. Embrace this fight, because it's what keeps you sharp, alive, and growing. The Stoics lived this truth. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, wrote to himself nightly, wrestling with the same temptations we all face. Laziness, doubt, distraction. He didn't expect perfection. He expected persistence. Behind everything you do, he said, let there be one intention, to do it as someone strong and worthy. That's the mindset you need because your weaker self is clever. It doesn't vanish after one win. It lurks, waiting for a tired day, a stressful moment, or a quiet doubt to whisper, "You've done enough. Ease up." And that's where most people stumble, not because they never started, but because they didn't keep going. They won a battle and thought the war was over. Let's talk about Priya, a graphic designer who decided to get healthy after years of neglecting her body. She started strong, daily walks, better meals, even a yoga class. For 3 months, she was unstoppable, shedding stress and gaining energy. But then life got messy. A big project at work, a family crisis, and suddenly, her old habits crept back. One skipped walk became a week, then a month. Fast food replaced her home-cooked meals. Priya didn't fail because she lacked willpower. She failed because she didn't build a system to sustain her change. That's the trap. Thinking a burst of effort is enough, when what you really need is a way of life. Here's where science comes in. Psychologists like Dr. Wendy Wood, who studies habits, explain that lasting change isn't about white-knuckling your way through. It's about creating systems that make your best choices automatic. Your brain loves routine. Give it the right ones, and it'll carry you even when motivation fades. A study from health psychology found that people who tie new habits to specific cues, like exercising right after breakfast, are 70% more likely to stick with them long-term. Priya learned this the hard way. When she restarted, she didn't aim for a fitness overhaul. She set one rule: 10 minutes of movement every morning, no matter what. Rain, stress, deadlines didn't matter. That small system rebuilt her momentum, and a year later, she's running half marathons. Not because she's superhuman, but because she made consistency her weapon. So, how do you fight this endless war? First, redefine victory. It's not about never slipping. It's about getting back up faster each time. The Stoics didn't shame themselves for weakness. They focused on correcting it. If you miss a day, don't spiral. Ask, "What's my next step?" and take it. Second, build your system. Pick one goal, say writing a book, and anchor it to a cue, 15 minutes every evening after dinner. Make it non-negotiable, like brushing your teeth. Third, keep evolving. The war never ends because you're never done growing. Every few months, raise the bar, write more, run farther, learn something new. It's like a warrior sharpening their blade. Stay still and you rust. Keep moving and you shine. But here's the deeper truth. This war isn't a burden. It's a gift. Every day you choose to fight, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, "I'm worth the effort." Look at someone like Nelson Mandela. Decades in prison could have broken him, but he fought his inner battles. Despair, anger, fear. Every day, emerging not just free but unbreakable. You don't need his stage to live his strength. Your battlefield is your morning alarm, your to-do list, your choice to keep going when it's easier to quit. And every victory, no matter how small, adds to your legacy. So here we are at the heart of it all. You've faced your weaker self, broken free from comfort, acted with courage, and built systems to endure. Now it's time to commit, not just for today, but for every day. Picture that warrior again, standing tall, not because the fight is over, but because they're ready for whatever comes next. That's you, my friend. Your war never ends, but neither does your strength. So today, right now, choose one action, a step, a system, a spark, and take it. Write in your journal, I fight for my best self, always. Because this isn't just a battle. It's your life, and it's worth fighting for with everything you've got. Here we stand, my friend, at the end of a journey that's really just the beginning. You've stared down the shadow of your weaker self, that quiet voice whispering excuses and luring you toward comfort. You've broken free from the harbor of ease, uncovered the strength already burning inside you, and learned to act before overthinking steals your momentum. You've mastered focusing on what you can control, burned the old map of habits and fears, and lived a day as the boldest version of yourself. You've built discipline like a blacksmith forging steel, chosen a circle that lifts you up, and stopped letting time slip through your fingers like sand. And most importantly, you've embraced the truth that this war, against doubt, distraction, and settling, never ends, but neither does your power to fight it. This isn't just a story about change. It's a call to become the warrior you were always meant to be, carving a life of purpose with every single choice. Imagine yourself now, standing on a hilltop at dawn, the world stretching out before you. The air is crisp, the sky alive with possibility. You're not the same person who started this journey. You're stronger not because you're perfect, but because you've chosen to show up, to fight, to grow. The Stoics, those ancient guides, would nod in approval. Marcus Aurelius might lean in and say, "You've done well, but don't stop. Live each day as if it's your only one." Because that's the secret. Your life isn't a dress rehearsal. It's happening right now, in this breath, this moment, this choice. You don't need to wait for a lightning bolt of inspiration or a perfect plan. You have everything you need to start: your mind, your will, your heart. So what will you do with it? In our fast-paced, distraction-filled world, it's easy to lose sight of what matters. Your phone buzzes, work piles up, and the noise of life pulls you in 100 directions. But you can ground yourself with these lessons. Start small. Set one non-negotiable commitment, like 10 minutes a day for something that lights you up, whether it's journaling, exercising, or learning a skill. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to be better, even if it means saying no to old habits or relationships that drag you down. And above all, treat time like the treasure it is. Before you open that app or say later, ask, is this worth my life? Because every second is a chance to build something real, something yours. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just take one step today, then another tomorrow. That's how you forge a life that feels like freedom. My friend, this journey doesn't end here. It's yours to continue. If this story sparked something in you, join us at ZenLight 8, where we're all about cutting through the noise and finding clarity, strength, and purpose. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and dive into our playlist. It's packed with ideas to keep you moving forward. And here's my challenge to you. Head to the comments and share one word that captures what you're taking from this. For me, it's grow. What's yours? Let's build this community together, one choice, one moment, one warrior at a time. Until next time, keep fighting for the life you deserve.